What's up, everybody? You already know who this is. This your boy Levar, aka Ramzie, the editor-in-chief of Snubb3d Magazine. And today on the sit down, we have a very special guest. Some of you may know him already, some of you may not, but that's what we're here for today. And we're going to get to do this. You know how we do on the sit down. I don't introduce the individual. I let them introduce themselves, because it gives it a more genuine, authentic feel to it. So I'm gonna let my guests introduce themselves, and then we're going to start the conversation on the sit down.
Hey, what's up, Levar? Thank you for having me. I'm Markuann Smith, executive producer, actor, um, all around creative, and all around good person, man.
Definitely, definitely. Well, one, thank you for coming on to sit down and taking the time out your day to have this moment to talk to us and talk to our readers and our community. All things you. We're focused on you today. So let's just kick it off with the first thing. Like, how did you step into the industry? Some of us have stepped in different routes before we got to where we wanted to be. How did that all start for you?
Oh man, it goes back to me being 12, 13 years old. My older brother's he started off in music. He's a rap artist. He was signed
Okay.
to a legendary record label, Uptown MCA Records, and
Mhm.
bunch of legends. I consider legends came out of that, from Heavy D to Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, whole bunch of things. We were like we was a very creative team, myself and my brother, like and my family was. But I think what really got me into the creative space was, being able to tour with my brother. He took me on the road, took me all around. Like our first tour was with Heavy D, Candyman, Troop, High Five, Second to None,
The
AMG.
classics right
Yeah,
there.
it was the early 90s, and it
Yeah.
was just amazing to me. It gave me an opportunity to leave my neighborhood, growing up in Harlem and being raised in Far Rockaway, Queens. It was really little to none for teenage kids, or even, young adolescents, to do out there. So just being able to travel with my brother and see him kind of like blossom, inspired me.
Definitely, definitely. And I think that you touch on some things that like people don't understand is that like you were on what you were doing, you was watching everything around you and you studied the craft itself. While you were young, you were still studying whether or not you know it or not. So a lot of people, don't have those opportunity and sometimes when you grow up in a space or in a city that some people feel like you can't get out of, and that opportunity is presented to you, you find your gateway, how to do that. So with a successful career that you have, how do you keep balance of yourself, mentally, spiritually? Because we know how this industry can be. We know sometimes things happen, especially, being a producer where stuff just can flip upside down. But how do you keep yourself mentally and spiritually sane during these times, especially during COVID?
I think, how I let me see how I keep myself mentally. I always stay ready. I'm a creator.
Yeah.
Uh, I love to create. Godfather of Harlem is a great TV series. I could say myself. We have an Emmy, we have a lot of nominations, but I don't look at it as just it's just Godfather of Harlem. It's always, as a creator, as an actor, you're using your muscle as an actor to keep exercising, keeping yourself ready, because there's somebody else out there that's trying to compete with you. It's a competitive sport.
Yeah.
Competitive nature. So, just going to Barnes and Nobles and getting acting for dummies, filmmaking for dummies, screenwriting for dummies, just keeping myself fresh and sharp. Those are some of the things that I did during COVID. Catching up on movies. I mean, movies kind of saved my life. I know you asked me a question earlier about it wasn't just music. I mean, I used to lock myself in a room just to drown out gunshots and just escape the white noise by watching movies like Rebel Without a Cause, The
Right.
Maltese Falcon, Casablanca was one of my favorite movies. Once Upon a Time in America was one of my favorite movies. I was watching movies that kids in my age were really like watching, Breaking and Beat Street and all these other, hip hop influenced movies, which were really good. But I wanted to know the nature of what a director, his shot list, how did Sergio Leone shoot? How does Scorsese, what was his movements? What was Francis Coppola's movements, and I started really enjoying the art of creating in front of the camera and behind the camera. So during COVID, I just, it was just, I used to just go on the streaming and just watch old school movies, man, and just keep myself prepared because, when in this type of business, you can't come and play in a sandbox with Forrest Whitaker or John Carlos
Right,
Esposito and look like a deer caught in headlights.
right,
You have to
right,
know
right.
what you're doing. So I say you stay prepared, man. Always sharpen your mental.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a film student. I went to Howard, so
Yeah, okay. I went to Morgan.
okay. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get
yeah,
everything you speaking right now is my
yeah,
language all the way. Understanding those shot lists, understanding how things get shot, the different angles.
yep,
Like a lot of people understand that it's not. I tell this to my team sometimes, because some people get offended with, because, people be like, oh, that's a nice picture. Or, yeah, that was just a nice movie or something. But they don't know what all took place behind the scenes, the powerhouses behind the scenes. And I think that's a key approach to it. So let's talk about The Godfather of Harlem.
yeah.
It's going down and it's going to be a classic. I have to say it's going to be up there in those classic list of things. The project itself, how did it all come about for you? And you played two hats basically on this project. So how did that all come about?
Well, it started off, first of all, man, foremost, man, I have to thank God because thank first blessings to God for everything because we're in season four,
Yeah,
and season four will be coming out 2025. And it's hard to even go from pilot to getting greenlit to
yeah,
even getting one season done. And if you look at a lot of African American shows out there, a lot of shows got cut. Even though I wouldn't consider my show African American, I think it's a great show because our cast is really diverse. We have
right.
everybody from Vincent D'Onofrio to Forrest Whitaker to John Carlos Esposito to Lucy Fry to Eric LeRae Harvey to Elvis Nolasco. The list goes on, but we have a great diverse cast. And to answer your question, how it started, man, it started off in Lenox Terrace. If
Mhm.
anybody knows Harlem, Lenox Terrace was a place where a lot of affluent people lived, from politicians to actors to athletes to musicians. And my godmother, her name is Margaret Johnson. I used to go up there every Sunday, and she used to tell me these amazing stories about Harlem. How she used to walk out of a building and smell fresh laundry hanging out of a tenement window, or walk past 125th Street, look up, she might see James Brown's name on the marquee, or walk past Sugar Ray Robinson's shop, see his pink Cadillac outside, look inside, you might see Nat King Cole waiting to get a haircut, Sam Cooke getting a haircut, or even, walk past a stoop and hear Frankie Lyman coming out of a transistor radio, and all these amazing magical stories she used to tell me. It was like story time every Sunday. She'd be like, "Boy, go get me a cow beef tongue sandwich with mustard on raw bread and come up to see me." So I used to go up there, and she used to tell me about Harlem. But she also told me about how African Americans migrated from the South trying to escape Bull Connor's water hoses and his dogs, right? But
Yeah.
it was still racism happening. Whether you went to DC, Philly, Newark, or even Harlem, to do something simple as far as going to purchase a hat, something simple as a hat, store owner, maybe a racist white guy, and says, you know what, I need you to put a shower cap on your head because I don't want that hat to touch your scalp.
Yeah.
Or a father with a family of five said, you know what, I want to treat my family out to a steak dinner. And the owner of the restaurant says, you know what, you can't eat with the rest of the patrons, but you can take it to go. So racism was still prevalent. And it was one of the most tumultuous times in America at that time in the 60s. But she also told me about her grandfather who migrated from Charleston, South Carolina. He
Okay.
was a Geechee Gullah.
Hmm.
Streets know him as Bumpy Johnson, but his name
Okay.
was Ellsworth Raymond Johnson. And he didn't come up here to become a gangster. He actually came up here to become an attorney like Malcolm X. So when he went to City College and applied for financial aid, the bursar saw that Ellsworth Raymond Johnson was attached to a black person and said, you know what? We don't give financial aid to people of color. So he took the cards that life gave him and he dealt it that dealt him and he played it the best way that he could. He was the first African American boss that sat with the likes of Lucky Luciano, Maya Lansky, Frank Costello, Vita Genovese, Bugsy Siegel. He was a underworld boss that wasn't just about crime. He was also, he was a self-published poet. He read everything from Nietzsche to Shakespeare. The warden of Alcatraz said he had the highest IQ for a person of color he's ever seen. There's rumors he beat Bobby Fischer in chess. So, I made her a promise that I would go out there almost 20 years ago and get the true story of who her grandfather was,
Mm.
not the hoodlum version, not the Cotton Comes to Harlem version or the American Gangster version. Bumpy Johnson didn't die in front of an electronics store like Russell Crowe and those guys tried to show in Sony.
Yeah.
He actually died in my character's arms, eating chicken and waffles due to congestive heart failure. So,
Mm.
the story unfolded almost 17 years ago in Lenox Terrace in my godmother's living room.
Definitely. And watching the show, you named some heavy hitters, on the show. You guys are, and I say this sometimes about different, things that you watch because sometimes you could tell when something's not authentic when
Yeah.
you watch a show and it's like they just reading off the lines right now. But you all have a connection when it comes down to you guys working together. It's like a fan. You could tell like y'all been working for a while together. How did y'all build that connection with each other? And to make that story, make those stories become the characters come to life like that.
Well, the authenticity, a lot of that leaned on me because no one really knew who Bumpy Johnson was.
Hmm.
So I went to the Schomburg Museum and I did a lot of research and I researched and I researched till I couldn't research anymore.
All right.
And even through microfilms, there was a guy named Tony Gentry who helped me as well during the research, and I put it together. And then I hired a African American historian. His name is Professor James Smalls. And James Smalls brought the authenticity because he was there at the time. He was
Mm.
actually Malcolm's sister's bodyguard when Malcolm got assassinated.
Wow.
Me being 47 years old, I wasn't there.
Right.
I can't tell you the real authentic of how, the Muslim girl trainings or how the smell and the scenery of Harlem was at that time. But I brought someone who was there that can help guide us through that. And it was very important that we made sure it was as authentic as possible.
Yeah, and I think that's major as well. Like I said, so many times we watch stuff, movies,
Yeah.
shows, and you just like, this is not, this ain't. And it's sad to say sometimes even our own shows, we sit there and like, all right, what's going? So
Yeah.
we don't. That's not how sometimes the story happened, or they try to make it so Hollywood that they've taken our culture out of those, that space. So I commend you guys on that definitely, and you taking on that role of understanding and researching key information for us. So I greatly appreciate that. Other projects that you have worked on. Um, let's just jump into that thing. I'm gonna let you name the ones because I don't want to
Yeah.
take take away from all the success. Like I said, your resume is top tier on that stuff.
Um, one of my good friends, who's not here right now, but I was on the road with him, may he rest in peace, was Tupac Shakur. I was a roadie for my brother. And for your audience that wants to know what a roadie is, a roadie they were the first one off the bus, last one on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We did all the grunt work, man. We carried everything from uh suitcases to coffins. When I say coffins, not coffins you bury people in, but coffins for the turntables,
Right.
speakers and stuff. So Pac was a roadie for Digital Underground. Tretch was a roadie for Latifah. I was a roadie for my brother. And after I came off the tour, after I got fired, but that's another story. And my brother actually fired me. Uh, you know, Pac, he started, Pac was a trained actor, and
Hmm.
I'm an actor. I've been to summer stock, I'm really into the craft. He said, you know what, I got something for you. It's not a big part or anything like that, but you can come experience and ingest what set life was. And that was my first project was Juice. So I
Mm.
played one of those truant kids getting chased by Samuel Jackson.
Okay.
in the arcade room, and then Poetic Justice. It was just a day player, but just being on the set with like-minded creatives, being able to meet Ernest Dickerson, who actually directed 2 episodes on the first season of Godfather of Harlem, being able to meet John Singleton, those were like amazing moments for me. And that's how I started off, and I just got the bug. Even from doing plays, playing and Raising in the Sun, playing Travis and, Wizard of Oz and things of that sort, I really got into just being able to imagine and taking your mind somewhere else because acting is not acting. Acting is becoming,
Right,
becoming that individual, right? When you become somebody, you're not acting anymore.
right.
And we train liars. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, you're supposed to go in front of the camera and make someone believe who you are, either making them cry, making that individual show the emotions, the up and downs. And that was my first stint being on set. And then it just graduated, from different projects, and Godfather of Harlem came. Godfather of Harlem took me 18 years to get done. And
Mm.
just to see that we're in our fourth season and it's a show that everyone loves, it's really amazing to me.
I want to tap in on that. You said how long it took for that to come into fruition. A
Yep.
lot of people don't know that some of this stuff doesn't happen in a
Yeah.
year's timing. The work and the ethics that come behind it. Can you speak on those things as
Oh
far
man,
as on a project
absolutely. I
like
try
that?
to tell kids, even during like fireside chats and things of that sort, I try to tell kids all the time, and I'm like, hey man, everybody wants success,
Hmm.
right? But are you ready to eat tuna fish sandwiches? Are
Yeah,
you ready to eat ramen noodles?
yeah,
Are you ready to sleep on somebody's floor? Are you ready to say, yo, Levar, hey, you got to hook up on buddy passes because I can't afford a market rate flight and I have a meeting at Netflix Monday morning I have to go to.
yeah,
So people want success, but are you willing to go for that success?
yeah.
Because I didn't believe in a plan B. I only believed in a plan A. Plan
Mm,
B meant my plan A was already failing.
yeah,
So a lot of people want it, but do you really want it? You have to be ready to sacrifice everything. Sometimes you're sacrificing spending time with your family, spending time with loved ones to get to where you need to be.
yeah. And it plays a role on passion. That's when you really find out if that's your passion when it comes down to it. Because a
I
lot
tell
of us,
people all the time, you can chase your pension or your passion. It's up to you. I
yeah,
decided to chase my passion.
yeah,
There's nothing wrong with chasing your pension if you want something safe. But we only have one life to live, so I didn't believe in safe. Safe
yeah,
is not something I believed in.
yeah. And then we have three more questions that we do. But I'm gonna ask the last part of the interview question side of it.
Yep.
What is next for you? I know you guys are shooting right now to get everything completed. What's next for you after this? Not like after because we're gonna pray this keeps on going. We know how TV is, but is there any other projects you could talk about that's coming
Yeah,
up?
sure. I have an exciting project that I'm working on right now that I just sold. They should be making an announcement any day. They
Okay.
want to wait for the election to be over. So it didn't kind of like take over the announcement.
Mm,
I'm doing a show about DC
mm,
based in 85 to 90 when I was out in Washington. And it's about what's happening right now in the world, the juxtaposition of the haves and the have-nots,
mm.
dealing with through the eyes of a mayor by the name of Marion Barry. And I'm very excited about this project. It's a very passion piece. Um, I just want to pay homage to DC, show them the culture of what DC was really like. You usually see a lot of projects about DC, but it's really 100,000 square feet. I wanted to show it from right here, from right
Mm.
below. I want to show the difference, the a city that's divided, a world that's divided. And if you look at the world right now, when you're watching CNN or MSNBC or Fox, you see that there's a country divided. So I'm very excited about this project. And yeah, that's the next project that I have on hand.
I'm definitely gonna be tuned into that because we know how some of us being here in DC definitely understand that it's a culture side to it. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes that people should know about.
Yep.
Everybody might see the political side of things, but they don't really see what the
Yeah.
inside of DC. So I respect that. So on the sit down, we have always ask these three questions to our guests. They're kind of like little things to get off the approach. What are three words that best describe who you are as an individual, and what, and pick one and tell us why you chose that one.
Um, Tenacity, perseverance, and I like the word powerful
Mm,
because with those two words before you, having perseverance and having tenacity, that means you'll be powerful. You
right.
know, tenacity is one thing about me. I never gave up. I believe in myself. You have to bet in yourself because if nobody else does, people look at the glory before knowing your story.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the individuals, and I'm an individual that I got 1,000 yes, 1,000 no's before one yes.
Mm, yeah.
And you got to keep going. It takes a special person to keep going.
Right.
You get knocked down, get right back up, man. Don't complain about it. If you knock an opportunity's door and it doesn't open up for you, guess what? Go to Home Depot, buy some lumber, and create your own door and
Right.
create your own opportunity.
Definitely, definitely. And because of your success and everything, behind the scenes, in front of the camera, what do you tell an individual that is trying to break into the industry or is watching you? Because whether or not you know it, at the end of the day, you're a role model. Whether sometimes we pick it or not, you have
Yep.
become one. What do you say to those individuals that's like, you know what? I wish I was in his shoes.
Learn your craft, right? Uh, learn how to manage your expectations because nobody owes you shit. If you wake up every morning and thinking that nobody owes you shit, it just resonates because you know what? You can't blame your failure on anybody but yourself. So learn to manage expectations. You're gonna get more no's than you get yeses, but that doesn't mean that it's not gonna be a yes. Always believe in yourself. I tell people that every day. Believe in yourself because nobody else will.
Absolutely. And we have a part where we call it final thoughts. Any final thoughts you want to give to our readers? Give them, the information, how they can, talk, reach out to you or any social media that they can follow you on. We're gonna give the final thought to you.
I to all your readers, I tell people all the time, man, that your magazine is called Snub, right? But that doesn't mean that life has to be a snub. You just keep
Absolutely.
going, keep sparking, you know, keep fighting for the underachievers, and that's what I'm about. In social media, you can reach me at Markuann. That's Markuann. That's on Instagram. And on Facebook, Markuann Smith, Markuann Smith, Smith.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully,
Thank you.
we get to do this in a live version way or have you
Yeah,
on our set
absolutely.
whenever. But I'm excited about your shows that you have
Yep.
coming and the one that you're already in and everything.
Yeah.
I look forward to, seeing more greatness come out of you. And again, thank you for taking the time out with Snub Magazine. We're forever grateful for this moment.
Thank you for having me, Levar. Told you
Absolutely.
please have a good day.
All right, you too. Be
Don't get
blessed.
snubbed.
Right, right, exactly.
All right,
All
man.
right.